I wonder if he's hiding the hangar deck.
We need to find the intruder aboard before I lose any of my crew.
Aye, aye, Captain. I'll get right on it. Captain Greer, are you ready to beam down to the planet's surface?
Affirmative. Energize.
Greer, how many miles to Starbase 7?
About 1.2 light years.
About 1.2 light years. You're doing a good job there, Greer.
Thanks.
Captain Kirk, we'll go warp factory 3.
Nice. Transport.
Engage.
Red alert. Oh, so it's directional.
Pop right on. Not a big room. If you were going to shoot a master shot, that wall would never be here. This wall would never be here, and you would shoot in this way because you can see everything in the room from right there.
Either that or like right there, if you want it straight.
Well, you wouldn't see that half back there
Okay,
of the room. So they only built one crew quarters, but you saw Uhura's quarters, you saw Spock's quarters, you saw Lieutenant MacGyver's quarters, who painted Khan and all. Obviously you saw Kirk's quarters. So all they would do is redress this room to look like different quarters. So if it was Spock's quarters, they hung that red curtain around here. They brought the bed over on this side and put the table on the other side. Hung a bunch of weird trinkets and things up. Had that gargoyle standing here holding the bowl with the incense. They would just mix it up a little bit. Put different knickknacks and personal things around. Now I've been waiting to tell you this because I have this picture on my phone. I'll even show it to you. In the original series, they were under such a time crunch that sometimes they would want to get certain shots, and like if I wanted to shoot a guy walking in that door, let's say Kirk is sitting at this chair, he's recording a captain's log, right? And Spock walks in. Well, if you want to cover this shot, you want to see Spock walking in, and you want to see Kirk in the shot, talking to Spock, where would you shoot from? Right here, right? Only one problem, there's a wall there. And if that was not a wild wall, if it was not meant to be moved, it could be pretty problematic, right? So somebody came up with a really great idea, probably the director of photography. Surprise! So they cut a camera port, and which allowed them to get those shots without having to take the whole set apart. And as luck would have it, 3 days ago, I was watching an episode. It was Amok Time, the one where Spock fights Kirk for the girl and stuff. Look at the shot. That's the shot. You can even see the counter in the foreground. That's that right there. See it? Look, there's the little box. That's this counter right here. So they were shooting from that position right there. If these walls are too light, then when you light the actors, it's going to wash the walls out. It won't look right. So we decided that they should be gray, some kind of a medium tone gray. And then we realized that same gray is everywhere. It's in every room because it's like an aircraft gray. I mean, it's a ship. It's an aircraft. What I learned after it was too late was that the original soundstage gray was a shade darker than this. It was even darker. Because remember how much light they had to put on?
Bright
the
lights.
set? So they had to have it dark so that when they lit it up, it exposed on film the way they wanted it to look. So reality is probably all of this was darker than it looks on screen. But we wanted people to see it the way they remember it. So we painted it these colors now, and like I said earlier on, the really beautiful thing is that we don't need as much light to expose the cameras nowadays as they did. So even though our gray was a shade lighter than the original, it photographs the same.
I was just saying, how many film takes did it take to look at the color and say, this looks right? I knew you had to do a couple of tests to see
Well,
what it looked like.
before we ever shot an episode, because you have to paint everything, it all has to be ready to shoot. So you can't, you know what I mean, you have to decide what you're going to do and do it all before you shoot. But we worked really hard to keep a lot of light off the walls, the light gray walls, because it's just ugly. And that's why if you go back and watch the original series again, you'll see streaks, and shadows, and weird little shapes on the walls, because they were shooting against a gray wall, and the director's like, that wall looks like garbage. Put a cookie up there, or put some that's what they called it.
Oh, okay.
They were just random designs. They called them cookies. They would take a piece of cardboard or metal and they would cut some weird shape, and then they just put it in front of the light, and it would diffuse the light into weird shapes and just break up the background, so it didn't look like a solid gray wall. So it was nothing for them to just grab a couple of lenses and put them down here. They would cut a hole so light could come up from underneath, and then then you would stand on. Well, now the problem is we found out what they were, but they were very expensive. Like one of these lenses, you can imagine, even just one, there are 6.
600 a piece.
At least. At least. I don't even know. I didn't want to know because it was going to be a lot. Plus, they don't, they're not easy to come by, So what I did was I borrowed an actual lens in LA from a guy who got his hands on one for me for like 2 days, and I resin cast it. So then we poured these out of clear resin. So they're exact and inexpensive. Heck of a lot cheaper. Now, in the original series, you'll know, if you remember this, I don't know if you do or not, but in the original series, in the first and second seasons, this room was gray. The walls were gray. And I think the stairs were even two-tone. I think there was like, this was black and the side walls were gray or something. Maybe it was all white ones, I don't remember, but they changed it from season to season. In the third season, however, all of the walls started being different colors, like this, and sick bay is that minty green, and the briefing room is that light blue. And they didn't start out that way, but I think what happened, this is my conjecture anyway, the DP was always trying to throw color.